interested, there's an ashram close by offering salvage. Careful!
Nora, if you need shards, there's a salvage operation.
Don't go stepping on any toes, you rascal.
I don't mean to pry, but how's your business doing?
You! I know you see me.
Nora, if you need shards, there's a salvage operation to the west. It's in the country.
People are under attack. Hey! You up there! Aren't you gonna help?
Not my job. I'm just here to keep an eye on things for chain scrape.
Frost will make it brittle.
Not looking good, folks. Call it quits! That's a nasty one.
Get to safety! I'll handle the rest!
Go, Lakasha!
Oh, Nora! Let's see what you can do!
That's the last of them. Better check on the refugees.
Guess the show's over.
still.
Is it bad, Lakasha?
Shh, now. Everything will be fine.
Is everyone okay?
Bruised, but not buried. Our order will live to see another day.
Are you sure about that?
You're no strangers to hardship, Nora. We've crossed half the Sundom with no more than the clothes on our backs. And as soon as our Sun Priest returns, our path will be clear. For now, we wait.
Well, you're better off waiting somewhere else. Your people need shelter. There's a town east of...
Chainscrape. Yes. We know of it. Savohar says it's not suitable for us.
Who?
Our Sun Priest. Our order has made it this far thanks to his guiding light.
Okay, and where is this Savohar?
He went up to the tower to meditate 3 days ago, and he won't come down until the sun shows him the way to our new home. The fallen storm bird is an omen, he said. And of course, it must be.
I see. And how long do you plan on waiting for him?
Until he returns. He will return. He must.
There's an Oseram in Chainscrape, Tolland. He wants the Stormbird up there.
Yes. He was here just yesterday. A very unpleasant man, even by Oseram standards. He made all manner of threats. But we will not be intimidated.
That's all well and good, but he's got friends. Sooner or later, his whole gang will show up.
Savohar will come through. He always does. We just need to give him more time.
You're out of time, Lakasha. You need to consider packing up and...
We won't leave him. And we won't let others disrupt his meditation.
Well, they're going to try. You're Shadow Karja, aren't you?
We are the Order of Twilight.
The difference being...
When the usurper Avad killed his father, we fled with the Karja in shadow to Sunfall. Our lives there were difficult. Savohar saw our misery, lifted us up. When the law and...
Why didn't you go back to Meridian?
Avad is a patricide. We will not kneel to the likes of him. We must walk in twilight to our new home. Savohar will lead us there.
Uh-huh. Your priest, Savohar. You said he's been up there 3 days?
His meditation can't be rushed.
So he does this often? Meditating for days on end?
Well, it doesn't usually take this long. But he will guide us through. He always has. We have faith.
Sure, but shelter looks like a more pressing concern. Look at yourselves. Those machines nearly wiped you out. And Oseram thugs are watching you, just waiting to strike. You're in danger here. You need to grab Savohar and get out.
Our situation. This is the worst we've endured. I know we cannot stay here, but without Savohar to guide us, I don't...
Let me up there. And I'll convince him it's time to move on.
But his meditation... If he hasn't received his vision, he won't follow.
At least let me check on him. If he's been up there for days...
Yes. Yes, that is sensible, I suppose. Please, be careful. The trail up to the tower's falling apart. Savohar is strong, but it could not have been an easy climb.
It rarely is.
Let the Nora pass.
Now you see that? That's what you call religious nonsense. That little speech right there. Blindly following the illogical. That's religious nonsense. Faith is one thing. But when it puts your faith puts you in danger, then that's something totally different. Because there are lots of people who don't have faith. And there are lots of people who don't care that you have faith. And there are lots of people who are willing to do physical things or mental things because they don't have faith. And they don't care if you believe it. You're just in their way. So, blindly following and being determined is not good for anyone. Like, if someone knows that they're in a dangerous situation, they have to move out of that dangerous situation. If they have like physical way to actually defend themselves in that dangerous situation, then they could press on because they have capabilities in order to do so. But if you are possibly going to be overrun by an overwhelming force, and you know it's coming, or you know there are those who are stronger than you, who have interest within your land or your location, you have to seek those who are in a higher justice system, not distance away, but close, or willing to act, not willing to follow bureaucracy that delay things. Because you have to read the room. Sometimes you go to a local police officer in order to solve a situation. If it's not a desperate situation for life, pleading for life, then it's not considered something important. Sometimes you have to read the terrain and information. You have to know who you're running with. You have to know who you're associated with. You have to know what you're following. And you have to know if there's danger and you're willing to defend it and put your life in danger. You have to know you have equal force in order to get you out of that danger. Otherwise you'll be a martyr or you'll be a sacrifice. So religious following is good, but you have to have the physical force in order to defend that religious following. Just like in anything, you need force in order to keep everyone who thinks they're badass in check. Alright, if you don't have a cop, then you have a bouncer. If you don't have a bouncer, you have a peace officer. And if you don't give a damn about any of these things, you don't need any of these things, then you need to have someone in family who are your actually guiding lights, both mentally and physically. So there are lots of people who want to do whatever they want, when they want, not following laws, not following rules, not doing what they're supposed to, because they believe their rights states they are just in their actions. Their rights of their beliefs. There is no law that they written. There's no law that they stated. Now if they say, well, the rights of a human being, the right to live, the right to thrive, the right to have justice, then there's nothing, whether it's in the Bible or otherwise, that says your rights of justice means you kill someone or you take their property. That is your way of compensating. An eye for an eye. That is not, will not be any form of any law. As simply you doing the exact same thing onto someone that they did onto you. Not listening to what anyone else says, doing this because they did this. And that's easier said than done. That's very easier said than done, because many people don't give a damn. Once the rage is on, they ain't gonna hear nothing and no one. And the only thing that will subdue them is with equal force in order to subdue them. And once they're calmed down, then they'll be educated on what it is that they did and why they did it. So that's why it's important to have equal force in any situations, because the blind and the stupid would dictate themselves the enforcers. And if you don't put the hammer on the or the freaking leg on the neck and says calm your fucking ass down, you ain't the law. If there's not a boot on the neck, they will do as they please. And only when they calm down they'll realize they're taking justice into their own hands. And even so, when that happens, they will still probably try to find a way to take justice into their own hands. Because in their eyes, who's the law to tell me that I cannot enforce the justice of this misdeed that was done onto me? That's why it's important to have force, whether by family, by law, by bouncer, or by otherwise. Because they will eventually do it again. Because people don't seem to understand. It's called civilization for a reason. You break the law of any laws, you take it into your own hands, you guys will suffer the consequences. And you could pray to God or pray to the devil, or don't give a damn about either or, and say fuck it, I don't damn, I knew I was right. But when you're behind the bar saying I knew I was right, I don't need God or the devil or anyone to tell me how to be a man, what is right or wrong. I know what I did. Remember this, their ass is behind bars. There's no up, down, left, right, whether you believe something or not. If they're simply behind a thing, it means that they're wrong, because they're there. Doesn't matter if they believe it, they're there. And they're there for years and years. It's because they are wrong. They could believe that they're wrong, and to be an idiot behind the bar still believing that they're not wrong. So unless there's some exceptional evidence to prove that you haven't committed this crime, your answer is wrong. Period. It's like blindly following something. Alright, so there are tons of people who are behind bars right now. And there are tons of people who are not behind bars, who believe they're not wrong. But trust me, everyone who decides to take matters into their own hands, it doesn't matter if they go to their grave still believing they're not wrong. If their ass is behind bars, it means that they're wrong. It don't matter if a million people sided with them. You did the deed, you knew you weren't supposed to, you screwed up, and you still disagree. There's no two ways about it. The law says this, 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 and this. You didn't do this, 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 and this. You didn't. You deviate and did your own thing. And you expect the law to change how they have done things for generations to suit your needs. And yes, we all know that the law's way of doing things doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to go. Sometimes an extension force needs to be applied because the law can't be there at all times, and can't be because it's a bureaucracy, and you need direct force in order to deal with a direct threat. And sometimes you have to, what they call, don't break the law, but sometimes bend the rules but still following the rules. Sometimes you need people like that, and that's the issue going on right here. I'm hearing this bullshit in this game. Their blind faith will be their own death to their stupidity and stubbornness. And that applies to everything. So every fool you see in jail, who you know belong in jail, who still believe they're right, never forget, if a man gets locked up, if a man's threatening anyone, whether it's on subway train or anything, or a woman, or they do a deed, do not fear. Their ass is wrong, and no heaven, no hell, no law or anything will say otherwise. The deed is what they do. If they broke the deed, which is a law that both cops and everyone and even criminals have to follow, if anyone break it, it's their own fault. All you gotta do is do what you're told. If you're not gonna do what you're told, you have to do something else that's opposite of what you're told, but it still can't break the core aspects of the system. Because if it breaks the core aspects of the system, then you're developing your own system in a country or countries that says this is how it is. This means you're creating problems. And if you're willing to do that, you have to have equal force in order to overthrow the previous system. Otherwise, you're screwed. And that goes from the smallest things to the largest things. So always remember, there's always a bigger fish, and every man who thinks he's shit hot because he have gangs and friends and all of that, or he's smartest and smarter than this, smarter than that, I could do this because I'm charging you lowly in this, Remember, as long as you're following the rules and doing what you're told to do, and keep your evidence and your proof, it doesn't matter what anyone believes. It will fall onto the judgment of those who are in higher power to decide what is and what isn't. And they'll put that foot right on the neck for those who decide they want to play God. So that's what's going on. The people in this game, or the religious following in this game, is a pure example of the ignorance of humanity. If you're going to be a religious follower, you got to make sure you have common sense to know when to leave and when to stay. That applies for anything else. Just had to say that because I'm just hearing stupidity, and it goes, and that type of stupidity I've heard before in real life. That's why I had to comment on this. I heard this type of stupidity before in real life, and I also heard this type of stupidity in history as well, with those who blindly follow religion and being strong in power, not realizing the room or the type of dangers coming their way. And it goes two ways as well, for the bad guys as well. You think you still have power and you can stay on top? Every injustice you do onto those below, it will come like a hailstorm. And if the law sides with those who you brought the pain onto, well, I pray for you, boy, because when they come after you, they come after the bad guys, no matter how much followers you got. The law says let the dog loose and let the civilians take charge and hunt you down. Yeah, it's just grass, because the civilians don't like the cops. You give them the power to do, and the law says to give them the right to put the pain. They won't stop. They'll do like what they did to that guy, the powerful ruler. I'm not sure if it was Gaddafi or something, or someone. They stomped his ass right into the ground until he was nothing but mush. So I'm not sure if that was Gaddafi. That was someone else. But people who like to play God, or they all get their own little comeuppance in the end. And people who like to play ignorant and think life all balances out. It balances out in everything, both for both good and bad. You need to know how to play it the right way. Just had to speak on that because, man, do I hate hearing about stupid things, even in video games. That shit pisses me off.
Glide in. I should climb that. This pigment would work well on armor. Part of the ladder. Akasha was right. The trail's in bad shape. This looks recent. Must have broken off when Savohar climbed up here. Take this to a dyer later. I think I can reach those beams if I jump against the cliff. must have broken off after Savahar passed through. I need to find another way up. Broken bridge. I might be able to make the jump to the other side. That's a lot of blood. Savohar's? He must have hurt himself pretty bad getting over the bridge. It's not looking good. Looks like he left a trail. I can follow with my focus. There's someone sitting by that campfire. Must be Savahar. There's the Stormbird, getting closer. Machines. Savahar must have snuck past them. I could probably slip past them. Or take them out. Machine will take a lot of damage from acid. If I find the right cauldron, I'll learn how to ride this machine. That's all of them.
The true sun above me, the true sun before me. Show me the way this eventide. The true sun above me.
You must be Savahar.
The true sun before me. Show me the way this eventide. No. No. The vessel must be empty for the coming vision.
You don't need a vision. You need medical attention. On the way up, I saw parts of the trail had given way. Is that how you hurt yourself?
Not sure.
You're hurt bad. And your people are running out of time. Staring at this Stormbird isn't solving anything.
You don't understand the omen. It fell here at the beacon. I just need to see the twilight path. And my people will find their home.
What do you think's gonna happen here? If you sit long enough, the sun will show you something?
A path to a new home. The fallen machine can only mean that the storm has passed. And salvation is at hand.
Or some Osram shot it, and it hit an old tower. I think you punctured a lung. You can't heal it with prayer.
The sun.
Okay, so here's another thing. This man isn't Moses or Abraham or Jesus or anything like that. They have to know the difference. When Jesus, or when Abraham, or even when Moses did fasting or praying, they didn't do it in the midst of danger. Otherwise, those dangers would have inevitably killed them, because they're still man at the end of the day. They did it with minimum danger within their vicinity. or they did it in overcoming those dangers, and they did it to a certain degree. Not able to get out of it, find a way to find comfort in it, not when they're around danger, or find places with people in situations where there weren't any danger. And when danger did pop up, or it did rear its ugly head, they fled. They did not stay in that dangerous area. They did the most common sense thing and fled and left the area. And only those who are the loyal few stayed back. But those people inevitably became victims, because in the end, logically, you have to read the room and terrain. And being loyal to something does not mean sacrificing others for your loyalty. One steadfast determination, regardless of who it is, does not say that you're supposed to cast others to the wind and have them doomed. Belief is one thing, but the flesh of the body, when it's destroyed, is another thing, because then you'll be held responsible for the death of others through pure ignorance and not looking out for their well-being. So in Abraham, Moses, and so on, Jesus state, that's a different story, because they were looking out for their people and their best interests, and they were moving them from out of bad terrains, and they weren't fasting individually for long times on their own while their people were in danger. In fact, when they heard of their people being in danger, many a times, whether it's impossible or otherwise, decide to stop what they're doing and go back to their people. They don't blindly stay in the area while the people are getting butchered. That's not the actual someone that you want to follow. So if anyone who have any reservations on thinking religion is a piece of garbage, you need to know the type of religion that exists. The blind arcane religions that came before Christ's times, and the one that came after Christ. Or if you want to think about it in that sense, the civilized world with religion that came after, that says, I'm not going to die for this religion. I'm going to make sure I'm a steadfast follower, but I'm not going to die for it, because said religion will protect me from the things that are natural happen in society, or naturally happens in the wilds. A lion will attack you and kill you regardless of what religion you believe in. A crazy man will attack you regardless of what religion you believe in. You have to learn to understand that in steadfast situations, even the darkest times, a man cannot just blindly go into an area where it's a dangerous situation with other people or with animals and not figure out a way to defend himself or herself physically, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically against such adversaries, because they are adversaries. They have to find ways around it. Don't just push through it. If you don't have the strength to push through an enemy, you have to find the ways around it. And that's what the difference between religious people, the reason why people still pray to Jesus, reason why people still pray to Mary, reason why they still speak of Abraham, because they found ways to get around certain dark situations that they could not get around. I don't listen to people who are non-believers of religion, and I don't listen to blind religious fanatics either. Listen to religion that's logical, based on the logic of both laws, both man, and both nature. Not one more than the other. Nature does not govern man 100%. Man does not govern nature 100%. And belief does not govern either one of those 100%. A person must have belief, and those beliefs must be strong to push him forward, but it can't be a blinding belief and ignoring the logic of nature that will come upon you, or the logic of rules and regulations and bureaucracy that will come upon you. Or in the reverse, a person cannot be a full bureaucrat, do things only by law, without understanding nature, and without understanding belief. You cannot dismiss belief and what's good and what's right for steadfast law, because then you're simply an autocratic, I wouldn't say a dictator, but you're a communist, or you're a fascist. You're one or the other. That's when steadfast law ignores things that are logical by nature and by man, ignoring the nature part and ignoring the man part, and only listening to the law part. So it goes both ways, you know. Idealistic belief, no good. Extremist religious belief, no good. Autocratic belief based on bureaucracy, no good. Anything that's too much of one thing. Fully believing in nature is the true salvation of everything, and thinking Mother Earth is going to provide for you all the time, no good. Same Mother Earth will swallow you with a tidal wave or an earthquake. So no good. This guy is probably going to do the most logical thing, get off his ass and save his people. Or if what Gorilla is trying to say, there are people who are extremists, and this is one, someone like Alo have to be the intervention for it, to force people to see different ways of doing things, because always don't necessarily mean the best for everyone else. It's only best for everyone else when he actually helps everyone else and continues to do so rationally. That's the zenith or the peak of a counter, an antitoxin to the toxins of life, both nature and man and law. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about that. If this guy, if this guy does what I think he's about to do, he's a fool. But if Aloy's voice gets to him, and see, this is an interesting part of the story where people say the story of this Forbidden West isn't good. If you pay attention to the story and stories of what people are saying in the game, be able to see so religious, ideological, philosophical, as well as autocratic politics or beliefs or opinions that are present in this game that wasn't in Zero Dawn. And for that, I might actually give it better points than those who blindly play this game and just, oh, this is interesting, blah blah blah. They don't understand what's going on. So I'm paying attention to everything as I'm playing, and some things I'm skipping because I know what they're saying isn't really a type of message that's hidden within the game, but this one is.
Will provide, and I will not lose faith.
I'd be more concerned about losing blood.
You see that? She said the specific exact thing. So let me just get back to the game, but she said the specific exact thing I thought she was going to say. If you totally believe in faith, then you're ignoring the other aspects of your humanity. You're ignoring the law aspects, the balance towards people living civil, and you're ignoring the nature aspects of your existence. The nature aspects, if you don't take in water, if you don't heal your wounds, you'll bleed to death. The law aspects, or people living amongst each other aspects, if you don't look out for others, they'll be put into danger. Food, shelter, clothing, so on and so forth. But that's part of nature. A part of logic is based on the decisions you make to execute certain things before the nature part kicks in. All three are very important. Nature aspects, how you live your life aspects, and your morality in nature. Is how you make decisions based on morality.